If you can accept flying superheroes, body-snatching aliens, and singing cartoon animals, then let me usher you down the yellow brick road to understand why The Wizard of Oz still dazzles like a billion ruby slippers 85 years later.
Buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy. Kansas is going bye-bye.
Imagine being used to watching black and white films, then seeing a movie start in sepia tone. Suddenly, the screen bursts into dazzling color. It's like nothing you've ever seen. Tarkovsky's Stalker used a similar technique, except with muted colors. Oz hits you with colors so vibrant, they practically glow. That moment must have taken everyone's breath away. It was the perfect escape, exactly what people needed after the hardships of the Great Depression. You've likely heard of the iconic technique that made this possible, Technicolor, specifically 3-strip Technicolor. The 3-strip Technicolor process involves using a prism to split light into 3 separate strips of black and white film, each sensitive to either red, green, or blue light. They are later combined to create richly saturated colors. The natural beauty of these colors makes cinematographers today green with envy. To understand the impact, try to remember the last time you saw a highly saturated color film. On the flip side, splitting the image reduced the light reaching the film stock, so extra lighting was needed. Combined with the use of 3 film strips, Technicolor required large film budgets. The studios had to be convinced Technicolor was viable, and other films used it first. So The Wizard of Oz wasn't the first film to use color, but its bold use of Technicolor showed how color could add a truly magical element to storytelling. They went to insane trouble to get the color right. For instance, it took nearly a week to settle on the perfect shade of yellow for the Yellow Brick Road. These choices have stood the test of time. You'll never forget the Yellow Brick Road, the Ruby Slippers, or Emerald City. You'll also never forget the phrase,
"There's no place like home."
The costumes and set design are miracles in their own right. The Munchkins' whimsical outfits, the witch's sinister black cloak, and of course those ruby slippers. Fun fact, the slippers were silver in Baum's original book, but MGM's designers knew ruby red would pop in Technicolor. If there's one thing you remember about The Wizard of Oz, it's the red slippers. It's in a museum today. Another pair not used in the film sold for $510,000 recently. Filming the Technicolor scenes for The Wizard of Oz was tough and took over 6 months. The cast worked 6 days a week, starting as early as 4 a.m. for makeup and costumes, and often stayed until 7 p.m. or later. To maintain the beauty of the tableau style of framing, they used deep focus cinematography to ensure that both the foreground and background details were in focus. To add to that, the Technicolor 3-strip process used a film stock with an effective ASA rating of around 5, maybe 10 at the most. That is insanely low. This very low sensitivity required intense lighting on set to ensure proper exposure and vivid colors. Arc lamps, which were among the brightest available at the time, generated enormous heat, raising the temperature to over 100 degrees Fahrenheit on many shooting days. The conditions were challenging for actors in heavy costumes. The electricity bill could have been used to fund another movie. To create the rich, dreamlike glow in Oz, cinematographer Harold Rawson employed soft diffusion techniques that are the hallmark of classic films. Shadows were deliberately minimized in most scenes to emphasize the storybook quality of Oz, a style called high-key lighting. Sadly, the movie didn't make a profit when it first came out. It wasn't until it was re-released in 1949 and later shown on TV in 1956 that it finally became a hit and earned its iconic status. Today, it is considered by some to be the most influential movie ever made, even over films like Citizen Kane, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and many more. Is it really that special? Yes, it's pretty rewarding. The Wizard of Oz has mountains of grace and style once you get past the dated set design. Let me help you with that. We went from painted backdrops to shooting on real locations, and now we've circled back to virtual sets. Actors stand in front of a screen with the background projected behind them. As technology keeps advancing, these setups will look even more realistic. And who knows, one day AI might even replace actors entirely. But can AI ever truly match the heart and soul of the performances in The Wizard of Oz? You can't method act a scarecrow, a tin man, or a cowardly lion. The acting in The Wizard of Oz shines with remarkable grace, precision, and dedicated application. Judy Garland won an Academy Award for her performance. Her vulnerability and sincerity made Dorothy a character one could root for. Ray Bolger's loose-limbed dance, Jack Haley's earnestness, and Burt Lahr's incredible comedic timing are so perfect they feel like real beings. They can make you forget the backdrops, but let's not dismiss the backgrounds just yet. The sepia tone was created using a complex mix of black and white photography and sepia toning, with many elements even painted brown or sepia to make the effect convincing. Who could forget the twister? It looks amazing with dust swirling in the background. Creating it was costly. They used a 35 feet muslin cloth hung from a steel gantry with the bottom attached to a rod. Moving them created the tornado's motion. To sell the effect, they used compressed air, Fuller's Earth, to add dust, and Dorothy's house was recreated as a model. Filmmaking in the 1930s wasn't easy, especially on studio films this ambitious. Directors were replaced, scripts were rewritten mid-shoot, and actors were injured by makeup and props. Buddy Ebsen, the original Tin Man, had to drop out after an allergic reaction to his aluminum makeup. Yet somehow, all those obstacles only made the final product more extraordinary and unique. The music of The Wizard of Oz deserves its own chapter in cinematic history. Over the Rainbow won an Oscar and became an anthem for dreamers everywhere. Every song feels timeless. The experience is as awe-inducing as an action blockbuster. It's the quintessential family film, compared to a family tentpole spectacle like Avatar 1 or 2, take your pick. Avatar relies on grand action scenes, serious political and social issues, and characters that aren't that memorable, except they're blue. The Wizard of Oz weaves its magic through incredibly relatable characters and a universal message about home, courage, and friendship. It might look dated to modern kids, but every old film does. What we all miss are the simple entertainers they used to make. If a Taylor Swift concert film can make millions worldwide, the world can surely use more musicals. The choreography is deceptively simple but endlessly charming. I can't imagine the effort and rehearsals it would have taken to get it look so effortless. Modern filmmakers might be taking all this for granted. The Wizard of Oz is still remembered today. How many people still talk about the last West Side Story? The message of The Wizard of Oz will always resonate. Dorothy's journey isn't just about getting back to Kansas. It's about facing her insecurities and discovering she's braver and stronger than she ever realized. Fantasy has always been a gamble at the box office. While the story was a massive success as a book and a stage hit, earlier movie adaptations didn't stick the landing. And after 1939, there have been plenty of remakes and spin-offs based on Frank Baum's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, but honestly, do any of them truly capture the magic of the 1939 film? The Wizard of Oz probably confused people on its release because the studio didn't know what movie they were making or who they were making it for. Maybe it was a comedy of accidents that caused us lightning in a bottle. The sequel, Return to Oz, bombed despite a bigger budget and modern effects. And that's why The Wizard of Oz still looks like $1 billion. It's a miracle of cinema in every way imaginable. Its success and enduring legacy is teaching us a lesson, and it will be our loss if we neglect to learn it. If modern cinema leaves you unsatisfied, or if you want a film you can watch with your family, watch The Wizard of Oz. Now follow the yellow brick road to my next video. You won't want to miss it.